Welcome to Real Estate Agent Superstars, where we interview top real estate agents in the market. And my name is RJ Baxter. I'm your host with Intercap Lending. And this week we have Dan Wisdom of Wisdom Real Estate. He's the man behind the brokerage that started this years ago. And he's going to share with us a little bit about his story with Wisdom Real Estate and some tips on their success over the years. Wisdom Real Estate's been around for 15 years, something like that. So they definitely stood the longevity test, and they are one of the best in the business. So welcome to the show, Dan.
Thanks.
Yeah, definitely appreciate you taking the time. So
yeah, thank you. It's great to be here. And right back at you. You're one of the best as well. Love working with you, and love the service you give our clients.
Appreciate that. So tell us a little bit more about your story. What did you just go right into real estate right off the bat, or did you have something you did before real estate? What was your background?
No, yeah. So, went to college, went through Air Force ROTC, and was all set for my career in the military. And then 2 weeks before graduation, they wanted me to crawl across the gym floor on my knees. And because I was so active growing up, I've got Osgood Schlatter, so it hurts to just my knees, not use hands or anything. I'm like, no, I can't do that. They're like, well, you don't get commission then. And so I got So 2 weeks before graduation, all of a sudden my life was turned upside down. So I went to Goodwill, bought a suit, drove out to Colorado, slept in my car, interviewed with an IT company, got the job, and moved out to Colorado. So I've lived here ever since. I was in IT for 3 years. Was 100% travel. I'd put on 20 pounds and, going fine dining, everything, schmoozing and things. It just wasn't a healthy lifestyle. I didn't have many friends because I was never around, just friends that were on the road. I'd get home, do my laundry, and then. So I decided, real estate was a career I wanted to get in, just on planes and in hotel rooms. I got my license and then made the switch.
Okay. How long ago was that?
That was in 2001.
Okay.
Yep.
And were you with a brokerage at first, or how did you start off?
Yeah. So I was on a great team, the Cityscape team. That had awesome mentors. It was Kathleen Clifford and Glenn Blackburn. They were awesome. They were total opposites. He was the very social, life of the party. Kathleen was the very analytical process person. So together, it was so awesome learning to them. Any new agent getting into the business, I highly recommend getting a great mentor and being on a team.
Yes.
So we were in, some of the bigger companies is where we were. We moved from one to another. Didn't really get value from the company. There was nothing wrong with them, but it was the team that brought the value. And then it just got to the point where I was working from home. The only reason I was going into the office was to get faxes at the time.
I remember faxes.
Yeah, faxes. And, I was like, I'm just going to go on my own. So I started Wisdom Real Estate with no intention of growing it to be what it is right now. It's like, I'm not getting the value from this company, so I'm just going to, do my same thing on my own. And then just gradually, people, I've never done any recruiting or anything. It's basically like 1 or 2 agents a year, just started, wanting to work together. And then what I learned is I'm really good at systems. So that is what I've developed. I learned that agents don't like, they like being out there going and getting the business, not the process. Mm-hmm. So that's what I focused on. I just started documenting my systems and then, showing others, exactly what I was doing. And then, it just kept growing and growing. from there, now we have 17 agents and 5 admin, and
Nice.
life is
Just
good.
through organic growth over the years.
Yeah. Yep.
So are you still doing active transactions yourself, or are you just managing the team and working on the processes and that sort of thing?
Yeah. So my role on the team is the visionary. If anybody's read Rocket Fuel, I highly recommend that. So there's the visionary integrator relationship. Melissa is the integrator. I basically have the ideas, and she is the one that gets it done.
Okay.
So that's my role. Yes, I do I probably average like 1 transaction a year now, maybe 2. And I do that because I want to run through our process as an agent. And each time I do it, I find things that, could save time and make things better. And then I've also done it, when I'm buying a house, I, have another agent work for me and go through the process as if I just tell them, hey, treat me like any other client. And so I get to experience it from the client point of view as well. And then another big role at every closing that we have, I'm calling our clients and obviously thanking them and congratulating them. But I take it a step further and I dig. I'm like, hey, what could we do to be better? What can make the process less stressful or smoother for you? You're not going to hurt my feelings. This is how we get better. Because almost always right away they're like, oh no, everything's great. And I'm like, hey, it's not going to be bashing anybody or anything like what. And then that's how we get really useful feedback to improve our systems. And we're improving every week.
That's a great way to do it. Just ask people,
Yeah.
even if we were awesome, is there something we could tweak or something that could make it a little bit better?
Yeah.
So do you still, being a systems guy, 17 years doing this or whatever it is with wisdom, you still get feedback on things that could be improved?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We're updating our process every week.
That's
Something's
incredible.
being added or changed, and I love it.
Yeah. Well, I know that knowing you, that every time I talk to you, you have 5 different ideas, it seems like. So
yeah, I probably have too
that's
many
awesome.
ideas. Yeah.
So what kinds of things are you working on right now?
Well, we've switched over. That's my shirt I've got on. Follow Up Boss is our new CRM. I wouldn't say CRMs you need to put tons into them, but there's been a lot that Follow Up Boss does that our previous CRM doesn't. So we are definitely getting organized there. Organizing our database is a huge focus. And Sphere has always been one of our strengths, but we're going even more into that, doing more events, more contacts, more value added, more competitions, contests, things like that. So we're really elevating the Sphere because we know, as long as we take care of our Sphere, nobody can, take that away. It'd be very difficult for them to take it away. Like our past clients are, the relationships that we've built. Zillow, it's going to be hard for them to come in and take them away, or, realtor.com or, whoever else. Yeah. So they're trying, and that's the future. Why I'd be paying, Zillow the 35%. I'd rather take that 35% and put it towards our clients.
I agree 1,000%. So what kinds of things are you doing? You mentioned events. What sorts of events do you do that are successful?
Yeah. One of the most fun one we just had was the Roller City event. So roller skating, I love family oriented events. Really doing things that, kids love. We do kickball in the park. We do wine tastings, beer tastings. Obviously, that's not
the kids love that,
right? Right. Yeah. Yeah. So we do those. Tons of handwritten cards and personal cards. Nobody's doing that now. Personal phone calls on birthdays. Not doing just a Facebook message. yeah, just tons of reach out, asking how we can help people, looking for ways to help people. Um, like you never asked, but I think our whole team has probably posted reviews for you, and anyone that, because you're great and we're not lying about anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, somebody who owns a business, like help send business their way. The more you help people, the more they want to help you.
That's for sure. One thing I noticed is, so we bought our most recent house through you guys, and you sent a list of providers after, like service providers and business partners afterwards, and we just pulled up that list whenever we needed something after closing, and we probably contacted 3 or 4 of those people on that list. And that just speaks to utilizing those partners that you know, like, and trust, and how that comes back to you.
Yeah. And what I love about that, thanks for bringing that up, is you get an organized, list of providers, a plumber or electrician or, whatever. If they make a mistake, well, first, scheduling, they're going to prioritize our clients over others, which is huge. And then the other huge benefit to the clients is, let's say that person makes a mistake, the contractor, which everybody does, if they know that they need to make it right, make sure that person is happy. Otherwise, that flow of referrals is not coming their way. That's a huge advantage to the client, rather than it's just one person going, and that person, that contractor might be very transactional based and not think about all the future. So we've seen that happen quite a bit, where contractors may even lose money on a transaction because they know how we expect our clients to be taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of transitions right into like our thinking, like my thinking. Like, again, everybody makes mistakes. We make mistakes all the time. But my thinking and what I coach the team is, we want whoever was affected by that mistake to be glad we come out ahead. Be glad we made that mistake. Don't just like, hey, we made a mistake that cost them $100. Don't give them $100. Do something even nicer. An example that I had that, this was when I was new in real estate, but this is just kind of an example. I didn't know at the time that a freestanding shed was considered real property and included in the contract. So the sellers sold, they asked, hey, we want to take that shed with me. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. It's freestanding. It's not attached. It's not real property. Obviously I was wrong. It's right there in the contract. So the buyers came and that shed was gone because I told the sellers they could take it. So what I did was, I hired somebody, got the shed back there, put back together, and bought the sellers a new shed that was bigger and nicer. So they're like, oh man, this is great. Thanks for making that mistake. Like,
Right.
So now they got a nicer shed than they had before.
Yeah. Nice. I think it's Gary Vaynerchuk, if you know who that is, who said, doing the right thing is always, or the right thing is always doing the right thing. Something like that.
Yeah.
So that's an awesome story. And then that makes clients for life out of that, out of making a mistake into a victory.
Yep. I guess another piece, if you want me just to keep going.
Keep sharing.
Another piece of the company's success, I would say, is our team. Like, we have people that have been on our team for 15 years, several that have been on our team for 10 years. We have really almost no turnover. The only turnover we have is if we invite somebody to leave, they're not a good fit, or they move away. And that has been huge. And what I owe that to is, like, the agents, the team is the company. And so we pay them as much as we possibly can. And, that means, I probably make very little compared to others that have teams our size, and team leaders that have teams our size. But you know what? Like, my quality of life is great. We have very little turnover on our team because they know, like, the deal, what they're getting. So I think that's just huge. I know like so many people have read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. I think it's a great book. I think, Gary's got a lot of, good insight in there. The numbers are not realistic though. It coaches 40% profit. If you're doing 40% profit, you're going to have a ton of turnover. You're going to train new agents until they realize they can do it on their own, and then, not be paying that. So yeah, that was that's a big part of our success as a team.
Well, and then you were telling me how it's translated into, you have this stable, solid team that you pay them well so they stay with you, and it's translated into lifestyle for you, where you've been able to build the lifestyle that you want for yourself. It's not necessarily about money, but it's about time and being able to be with the family and those kinds of things, which, hearing about how you started and being in IT and traveling all the time, it makes a lot of sense that you've built it to that.
Yeah. And I really, consider myself retired.
Mm-hmm.
I still work a lot, but I do the things that I love to do. And almost all of them are on the schedule I want it to be on. Example is, I had an opportunity, just took my son on a 3-week cruise. So we went from Miami to Barcelona. And I checked in, and I was, definitely, working a bit. But by creating this, it made that possible. And, that's an experience that I'll never forget. And, he'll never forget.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So then tell me more about how you manage all this and how you're able to get away like that? Is it because of the stability of your team, or what kind of processes have you built into place that enable it to run like that?
Yeah, well, here's part of it behind me here. So this is Sisu, and knowing your numbers is huge. Everything's way less scary if you know your numbers. Like spending $50,000. If you just write a check for $50,000 and don't know what's happening, that's super scary. But if you spend $50,000, it'll turn into $100,000. And you have all the numbers that you can track, all the leading indicators. So, I mean, that's a huge one, is knowing that. And then another thing we run, you heard me talk about rocket fuel. So EOS, Enterprise Operating Systems, is how we run our company. And so we have one 90-minute meeting a week with the leadership team. And we all have our, rocks, or if you are 4 disciplines of execution person, WIGs. We all have that. We all have our to-dos. We have our scoreboard we're looking at and our leading indicators. So it's not me having to micromanage. We meet that 90 minutes. Everybody knows the plan for the week, has their to-dos, what the goal they're working towards. If anything's fallen below in the red on our scoreboard, then we need to have a to-do to get that going in the right direction. And so that's what we're looking at every week.
Okay. What about from the individual agent perspective? How do you help them to track all these touch points that you have with clients, and how you really build those raving fans?
Yep. So Follow Up Boss and Sisu talk really well together.
Okay.
So, it's a math equation. You make this many, you have this many conversations, you're going to set this many appointments, you're going to go on this many, then have that many signed agencies under contract and closing. So it's all about, it really comes down to, you make 6 conversations a day and you'll be a successful real estate agent.
Mm-hmm.
So all of that's...
Here's a question. How do you define a conversation?
Oh, that's a good question. We're pretty loose on the conversations. The biggest thing is the agents need to be consistent on how they're tracking it, because we have all their conversion ratios. So we don't define that for them.
Okay.
It's basically No, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be real estate. You just want to be reaching out, adding value to people.
Just touch bases with at least 6 people a day.
Yeah. Yep. And I know some, and like, we'll have the training where it has to be a real estate conversation. You're asking for business. That counts as a conversation. That we don't. So our conversation to appointment ratio is lower than, some others just for that reason. They're not all like, go on appointment with you. They're like, hey, how can we add value to you?
Yeah.
So we have that. So that's how they know their numbers. So the agents know their numbers. We have competitions. Like right now we have an appointment competition going. So we've got 3 teams. And then those teams each Monday meet and they do their, small group coaching. And in their small group coaching, we are reviewing the goals for the week and what's the one thing that they can do to, increase their business the most. And so right now it's the database is what we're really focusing on.
Okay.
Which leads, like if you focus on that, you are going to hit the conversations.
Yeah. It's funny how that works.
Yeah.
You just focus on your database, talk to 6 people a day, and it leads to more business.
Yep. And then we have, group prospecting time. So the people that want to grow their business, this is not mandatory. This is just for the motivated that really, want to elevate. So we get together to meet in the office. If you're not able to, you join via Zoom, and you go through. You set your intention for that hour and a half. What are you going to hit? Where you're at for the week, and then it's just focused prospecting for an hour and a half.
I love it. It doesn't get any easier than that, and it's at the same time it's challenging because it's hard to block out that time in a day to specifically just make phone calls and focus on prospecting.
Yeah, but it's like having a workout partner. You'd be like, I'm gonna go to the gym tomorrow, but if I'm like RJ, let's go to gym at 9 a.m. tomorrow. There's a lot better chance that I'm not going to let you down and I'm going to show up.
So I've been doing something similar to this with my coaching group, and it's made a huge difference. And we all get on a Zoom. It's nationwide. There's usually like 50 people on there, and we make phone calls, prospecting phone calls together.
Right.
And that more than anything has made a huge difference over the past 4 or 5 months since I started doing it.
Yeah. That is the number one money-making activity.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's not, there's all these bells
and
and whistles.
Everybody wants to put off,
Yeah. Well, I think part of it too is like, look at leads, for example. Leads are easy. You just buy them and you get a name, phone number, and email. But those are people that don't know you already. So sphere is so important.
Yeah. I tell our team, if you work leads, you've got a job. Mm-hmm. Your database is your business. And we're here to help you build your business.
So tell me about that metric. I'm really intrigued by that 6 conversations a day. What does that translate to if you trickle it down to actual closings? If someone does that consistently?
Yeah, that's going to come to making over $100,000 a year.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
So I just have to talk.
The 100,000 is what every new agent sets as their goal, pretty much. Mm-hmm. And now that should probably be going up with inflation and everything.
Right.
100,000 is what it used to be back in the day.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So 100,000. It's 6 conversations.
I can think of a couple agents in particular that work with Wisdom that have followed that, or at least I think they do. That's my perception. And their businesses have just taken off, and they're brand new agents. They're only one that I'm thinking of is a year and a half in the business, maybe, and she's rocking it.
Oh yeah,
it's just being consistent on those phone calls.
She has been one of the best at just coming in and she's so coachable.
I know know who I'm talking about, Enid.
Oh yeah.
She's amazing.
But as far as that 6 a day, it's not the same for everybody because the 6 a day conversations is not going to produce as much for a new agent. As and establish it, because those conversations are going to be a lot more value as you're in the business longer. It's going to be, your sphere that really are sending you the referrals. So we've got an agent that makes, 5 a day, and he's over 250,000.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious about your touch points, your value add touch points that you have with your clients, both before they go under contract, during the contract, and after. Can you give us kind of an overview of the special things that you do?
Sure. So, the before is, follow bosses telling us exactly, who. We're directing them to our website, so they're searching. Everybody's got their own IDX portal. So we keep an eye on that. So you get all that information. Some just don't do what they should be doing with it, and others, do. So if somebody goes and favorites a home 9 times, yeah, that might be a home you want to preview and tell them about. So that's, the getting ready, that pre-under contract. Going under contract, we just have our checklist. It's 170 steps. And so we have an awesome in-house TC that handles all the details, takes everything possible off the agent's plate that they can, so the agent can just focus on the relationship and the negotiating and the higher level things that you need to be an experienced agent for. So, yeah, we have all that documented. So they're getting calls, coordinating everything, but very customized to our team since it's an in-house TC. So that's really great. That's another one of those that every week we're updating something on there, adding more value to clients. And then after the sale, they're now a past client, they're a Wisdom member, they're getting invited to, all of our events. We want to just send them as much stuff, as possible. So they're going on to our value-added, email campaigns that everyone is, if I receive this, would I just delete it, or did it add value to my life? Then HomeBot is another one, which is a great, valuation tool.